What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Everything MTG. My name is Justin,
I'm Amanda.
and today we're going to be going over the third deck list, Nature's Vengeance, aka your boy Lord Windgrace, or Lands Matter, as you guys may know him. As usual, we're going to skip the basic lands, most of the other lands that you guys know about, although much like the Esper deck, there are a lot of lands in here you guys might not know about that are kind of off the wall, so we will cover those. We're going to start out with our boy Lord Windgrace. Two colorless, black, red, and a green for a legendary planeswalker with 5 loyalty. His +2 makes you discard a card, then draw a card. If a land card is discarded this way, draw an additional card. Pretty good for a Land Matters deck. -3, return up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. And -11, destroy up to 6 target non-land permanents, then create 6 2/2 green cat warrior creature tokens with Forest Walk. Not a bad commander. I don't like his ultimate, though, because it will not generally win you the game. Destroying 6 non-land permanents is good, but if you have 3 or 4 other opponents, you're probably not going to win the game with that, right? And I mean, you'll get 6 2/2s and they have Forest Walk, but if your opponents aren't playing green, you have 4 opponents, you destroy 2 on each side of their field or whatever, or 1 here, 3 there, 2 there, whatever, that's not going to win you the game.
Yeah, but it can get rid of the major threats on the board or
Yeah, but
like
we all know the chance of getting a Planeswalker to Ultimate in Commander is literally 1% or less. Lands, we have 6 swamps, 5 mountains, 7 forests, a Coombe Refuge, which is a red-black gain 1 life land. Barren Moor enters tapped, taps to add black, and you can cycle it for 1 black. Blighted Woodland taps to add waste, or you can pay 3 and a green to tap it, sacrifice it. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Good old Bojuka Bog enters tapped. When it enters the battlefield, exile all cards from target player's graveyard, and it can tap for black. Good old Command Tower. Evolving Wilds. Forgotten Cave enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for red and cycle it for 1 red. Golgari Rot Farm, which is the black-green Ravnica bounce land. Grim Backwoods enters untapped, actually. You can tap it to add waste, or you can pay 2, a black and a green to tap it, sacrifice a creature, and draw a card. Gruul Turf, which is the red-green Ravnica bounce land. Haunted Fengraf taps to add waste. You can pay 3 and tap it, sacrifice it to return a creature card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Not a big fan of that card. Jund Panorama taps to add waste, or you can pay 1 and tap it, sacrifice it to search your library for a basic swamp, mountain, or forest, and put it into the battlefield tapped. Then you shuffle your library. Jungle Hollow is entering tapped. It's the black-green gain 1 life land. Kazandu Refuge is the red-green gain 1 life land, enters tapped. Colony Garden enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you get a 0/1 plant creature token, and it can tap for green. And here's some of the interesting lands, the poor man's fetch lands that I'm interested in. Mountain Valley enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it and sacrifice Mountain Valley to search your library for a mountain or forest card, put it onto the battlefield, untapped, and then shuffle your library. Pretty nice. Myriad Landscape enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap to add waste, or pay 2 and tap it, sack it, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards that share land type, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. Rakdos Carnarium enters tapped. It's the black-red Ravnica bounce land. Rocky Tar Pit, the other poor man's fetch land, enters tapped. You can tap it, sacrifice it, search your library for a swamp or mountain, put it on the battlefield untapped, and shuffle your library. Savage Lands is a tri-tap land. It enters tapped, adds black, red, or green to your mana pool. Temple of the False Gods, you can tap to add 2 waste to your mana pool, but only if you control 5 or more lands. That also includes this one, so basically 4 other lands on top of this one. Good old Terramorphic Expanse. Tranquil Thicket enters tapped, tap to add green, or cycle it for 1 green. And our last land is Warped Landscape, which taps to add waste. You can pay 2 and tap it, sacrifice it, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. That was a freaking mouthful. I'm winded after this. There's 42 lands in this deck, which is, for Land Matters, that's cool, but I don't think I've ever played more than 40 lands in a commander deck,
Yeah.
even in like a 5-color commander deck.
A lot of those lands though are like sack, fetch another land.
Yeah, a lot of these
So-
lands do sack to fetch another land, like Terramorphic, Warped Landscape. What's the other one here?
Myriad Landscape.
Yeah, Myriad Landscape, Mountain Valley, all that. Anyways, they sound pretty good. It's a pretty good suite of lands, but I think if you do a little editing to this deck, some of these can probably go. Legitimately, let's see. 7 forests, 6 swamps makes 13, plus 5 mountains makes 18. So 42 minus 18, and that's how many lands are going to enter the battlefield tapped.
Not all of them are tapped.
Not all, but almost all.
Yeah.
I mean, Terramorphic Expanse is bringing it in tapped, Tranquil Thicket, tapped, Warp Landscape, it's going to bring it into the battlefield tapped.
Yeah.
Temple of the False God technically doesn't count because you can't use it if you don't have other lands. I mean, like, I love me some good lands, but that's way too many tap lands. Yeah. You're going to slow yourself down to a flipping crawl. Anyways, let's move on to the other spells here. We're going to start with Charnel Horde Worm. 4, a black, red, and a green for a 6/6 worm with trample. When it deals damage to an opponent, you may return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Pretty good. One of the best cards in this entire deck, honestly, Avenger of Zendikar, is seeing a reprint. 5 colorless and 2 green for a 5/5 elemental. Pretty swag-looking tree art here going on. He's mad. When Avenger of Zendikar enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 plant, green plant, creature token for each land you control, in case that was relevant. With landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a 1/1 counter on each plant creature you control. One of my friends played this the other night when we were playing Commander, and we thought it was a +1/+1 until end of turn. So we let it stick around for a turn. And all of his 13 plants or whatever got +1/+1, and we were like, nothing to worry about. They're going back to 0/1s. No, it's a 1/1 counter. Just for those of you that might not read, reading the card explains the card. We were stupid and didn't read. So there you go. Maybe that'll help one of you out there. Soul of Innistrad is 4 double black for a 6/6 Avatar with Death Touch. Nom 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 Death Touch. 3 and 2 black. Return up to 3 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. 3 and double black. Exile Soul of Innistrad from your graveyard. Return up to 3 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Much like Soul of New Phyrexia, is that what it is? Yeah, that gives everything indestructible. Yeah. I do like this card a lot. It's pretty sweet. We have Flame Blast Dragon. There's a good old standby. 4 and 2 red for a 5/5 dragon with flying. When it attacks, you can pay X and a red. If you do, he deals X damage to any target. Pretty good. Nice little, not a board sweeper, but nice little single target removal if you got a lot of open lands. We have a card that I already covered in another spoiler video, but I'll go over it here. Budoka Gardener. This is a... How do I want to say this? This is a flip card, a Kamigawa flip card. Many of you may think of flip cards from Innistrad and Return to Innistrad, but those are actually transform cards. Flip cards are a little bit different. You guys will see when it's up on the screen here. It starts as a 2/1, and you can tap it to put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you control 10 or more lands, you will flip him. He flips into, let's see if I can read it upside down here, Dokai Weaver of Life. You can pay, well, let me start with this. He's a 3/3. He's a human monk on both forms. You can pay 4 and double green to tap it, create an XX green elemental creature token, where X is the number of lands you control.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good. The unfortunate thing is getting him to flip at 10 lands, this does ramp hard, but that's going to take a while. And yes, you get an XX elemental. It doesn't have trample.
Yeah.
This could be a 50-50, which almost 42 lands in the deck, but it doesn't have trample. So makes it strictly bad if you ask me. But this guy only costs 1 and 1 green, if I did not mention that. So, I mean, not bad, I suppose. Next card is Centaur Vinecrasher, 3 and a green for a 1/1 plant. Centaur with trample. When it enters the battlefield, it enters with a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the number of land cards in all graveyards. Whenever a land card is put into a graveyard from anywhere, you can pay double green. If you do, you can return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Not bad, especially since you're going to be sacking lands all day, apparently, with, you know, the fetches. So, good little recursion there. We have Moldgraph Monstrosity, which is 4 and 3 green for an 8/8 insect trampler. When it dies, exile it, then return 2 creature cards at random from your graveyard to the battlefield.
It's a lot of recursion.
This one's definitely better than the other one because it returns them from the graveyard to the battlefield.
Right.
But it's random, and I still don't like that.
Yeah.
You could have a 1/1 chump in your graveyard, and you could have like an 8/8 and another 1/1, and there's a chance you're going to get both 1/1s. That kind of sucks. But it could end up really well. Rampaging Baloths is back, 4 and double green for a 6/6 beast with trample and landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you can get a 4/4 green beast creature token. Nothing wrong with that. Great card is great. Speaking of great cards, Scoot Mob is 1 green for a 1/1 insect. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 5 or more lands, put 4 1/1 counters on Scoot Mob. If you manage to give this some form of evasion like trample, flying, unblockable, this gets stupid quick.
Oh, yeah.
Because at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 5 more lands, which you probably will on turn 3, and you can play this on turn 1, he becomes a 5/5, and then a 9/9, and then a 13/13, and then stupidity ensues. And these are 1/1 counters. So if you edit this deck and put like Parallel Lives or what's that other one? Doubling Season. Like this gets stupid quick. Our next card up is Rubble Hulk, 4 colorless, a red and a green for a star elemental. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Big surprise. Has Blood Rush, which you guys may or may not be familiar with. This is from, I believe, Return to Ravnica. 1 colorless, a red and a green. Discard this card. Target attacking creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of lands you control. Nice, stupid combat trick. I've seen people die to that more than once. Acidic Slime is back, which is great. I love this card. 3 and double green for a 2/2 ooze with Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, you can destroy target artifact, enchantment, or land. There's the big one. We all hate artifacts, we all hate enchantments, and we all hate lands. You know, when your opponent's playing a Glacial Chasm or something ridiculous, and you're like, I don't like that. Well, there's a good way to get rid of it.
Or what's that, the Eldrazi Temple?
Oh, yeah, Eldrazi Temple or Eye of Ugin.
Yeah.
All of these are relevant to my meta. You guys might hate some other specific lands. Who knows? Mazavith, yeah, that got blown up, I think. Yeah, that got blown up in the last game we were playing as well. Baloth Woodcrasher is our next card. 4 and double green for a 4/4 beast with landfall. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, Baloth Woodcrasher gets +4/+4 and trample until end of turn. Not much to say. It's just a good beater. We have Borderland Explorer. For 1 and a green, you get a 3/1 elf scout. When it enters the battlefield, each player may discard a card. Each player who discarded a card this way may search their library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into their hand, and then shuffle their library.
I play that in Group Hug.
Yeah, Amanda plays it in Group Hug. I'm iffy on it because it goes into your hand, and everybody can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody's willing to discard a card, but... Farhaven Elf is getting a reprint. 2 and a green for a 1/1 elf druid. Another elf. This is apparently mono elf. When Farhaven Elf enters the battlefield, you can search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Strictly better.
Yes.
Just you, onto the battlefield.
Yes.
You know?
You don't have to discard a card.
Don't have to discard a card. Yeah, he makes you discard a card as well,
Everybody,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Each player.
I don't like that card. Sakura Tribe Elder, 1 and a green for a 1/1 Snake Shaman. You can sacrifice it, search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. This is just a mainstay in ramp decks. It's just good. We have Yavimaya Elder, which is 1 and double green for a 2/1 human druid. Druid. When it dies, you may search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library, and you can pay 2, sacrifice the Elder, and draw a card. Pretty good card.
That's good ramp.
He sacrifices himself to draw you a card and then get you 2 basic lands. Unfortunately, both in your hand, but still good.
Yeah.
Our next card is Zendikar Incarnate. 2 of red and a green for a star 4 elemental. So star power, 4 toughness. Its power is equal to the number of lands you control. I mean,
this is like a straight up ramp deck.
This is straight ramp and beaters.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much. Ruinous Path is back. 1 double black for a sorcery. Destroy a target creature or planeswalker. It has Awaken 4 for 5 and double black. I covered that in my other video, so I won't bother doing it here. But just a real quick thing, it gives your lands +1/+1 counters, making them monsters.
Creatures,
Yeah. We have Chain Reaction, which is 2 and double red for a sorcery. It deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. I still like the fact that they're adding in board wipe. I don't like the fact that you're getting a bunch of 1/1 plants or 0/1 plants and like all this nonsense going wide a little bit with Avenger, and then it kills all of it.
Yeah.
And not only does it kill all of it, because you have all those 1/1 plants, you have 5 1/1 plants, it's killing your Avenger Zendikar.
Yeah.
On top of everything else. Like, the only thing that's going to happen here is you're going to wipe your own board.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else is going to get screwed, but not as much as you. You know, this is a bad card, in my personal opinion.
Depends on how many creatures you have and if it's worth it.
But the chance that you're going to have a lot of creatures is, like, pretty high.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot of recursion here, but I don't personally like this card. There's better cards.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely better cards.
Yeah, I don't like that. We have Decimate, double colorless, a green and a red for a sorcery. Destroy target artifact, target creature, target enchantment, and target land. Let me go over that one more time. You destroy an artifact, creature, enchantment, and land.
It's a really
for 4
good card.
At sorcery. Okay, I hate that Maze of Ith. I hate that doubling season. I hate your Soul Ring because it's the only other thing on the field. And I hate, you know, whatever creature. I hate that Avenger of Zendikar. Get rid of all 4.
Yeah.
Like, that's really just to screw you to all your opponents. The only bad thing about this is you're going to get so much hate from everybody on the table at the same time because you just blew up all the best stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So that's pretty bad. Also, one thing you have to keep in mind is this is not a May ability. If you have to destroy an artifact and the only artifact on the field is your Soul Ring, you're blowing it up. It's not a choice. So this is a very good card, though. I mean, I would play this if I ever played red-green, which I like really don't. I mean, I play Slivers, 5-color.
I
wouldn't play it in Slivers, though.
Here's the kicker. Destroy target artifact and target land.
Yeah.
Amongst the other things. In the artifact deck, there are artifact lands. You could blow up 2 lands with that.
You could blow up 2 lands, yeah. Yeah, it could be pretty damning for certain people. Our next card is Gaze of Granite. X, double black and green for a sorcery. Destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost X or less. This is strictly better than Chain Reaction.
Yes.
Because you can destroy, you can be like, okay, I'm going to destroy everything with CMC. What's good old Avenger Zendikar? 7. I'm going to destroy everything with CMC 6 or less and keep my Avenger alive. Most things aren't going to be above 6.
Now, granted, your tokens will die. And
your tokens will die.
Execute Mob will die.
This is non-land permanents also.
Yes.
So, artifacts, enchantments.
Yeah.
Pretty good. It's definitely better. I mean, it's not the best, but it's better. We also have Lavalanche here, which is X, red, green, and a black for sorcery. It deals X damage to target player or planeswalker, and each creature that player or planeswalker's controller controls. Complicated, right? So you pick a player.
One-sided board wipe.
You pick a player or planeswalker. It hits the player for X damage, or the planeswalker for X damage, and all the creatures that player controls or that planeswalker's controller controls. This is strictly. This is definitely strictly better than Chain Reaction.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if you have one person that has some real stupid stuff, and let's be honest, there's 42 lands, you're probably hitting somebody for 15 with this. Your whole board's dead, just screw you, you know? And it doesn't target anything either. It targets the player. So as long as the player doesn't have hexproof, if your guy on the other side of the field says, oh, I have protection from instants or hexproof on my creature, well, it doesn't matter because it's a board clear. So, good card. We have Worm Harvest, which I think I've seen this card before, but I don't remember what it does. Pretty sweet art. It's got something down in the right corner. I don't know what that is, but it looks cool. It's got 2 colorless and then 3 hybrid mana, which means you can pay either black or green 3 times for this. You can pay 2 black and a green. You can pay 3 green, 3 black, 2 green and a black, and then 2 colorless. For a sorcery, create a 1/1 black and green worm creature token for each land card in your graveyard. And then it has Retrace. If you guys are not familiar with Retrace, you can cast the card from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to paying its other costs, which is great because it goes off of how many lands you have in your graveyard.
Right.
So it's pretty good. I don't know how many lands you're throwing in your graveyard, though. I mean, there are a lot of, like, fetch lands.
A lot of sack.
But other than that, like, unless there's something further down, I don't see anything that you're sacrificing lands for, unless Priest of Titania is in here or something. And I don't see it. We have Stitch Together, which is double black and some disgusting art. For a sorcery, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. More recursion. Threshold, return that card from your graveyard to the battlefield instead if 7 or more cards are in your graveyard.
That's pretty good.
That's certainly possible as well.
Yeah,
we have the old standby Cultivate. Every ramp deck needs one of these. It's 2 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic lands. Reveal them. Put one onto the battlefield. Tapped the other into your hand, and then shuffle. There's another card here, which I will also read that. It's pretty much the same thing. Explosive Vegetation, 3 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. The only difference is it costs 1 more, and they both go on the battlefield. Now, what isn't in here is Kodama's Reach, which is literally a functional reprint of Cultivate. It should be in here.
Yeah.
The fact that it's not in here is a big slap in the face. Kodama's Reach is like 10 cents.
Yeah.
Oh my god, guys, it's so expensive. We can't reprint it here. It's like one of the best land fetch cards in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, other than, your freaking reserve list cards. Right? Because we all have a couple of those. Our next card up is Explore, 1 and a green sorcery. You can play an additional land this turn and draw a card. Not bad. Little card draw in green. Nothing ever hurt. Drawing cards in green because it almost never happens. We have Far Wanderings, which is 2 and a green for a sorcery. You can search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. If you have Threshold, which is 7 or more cards in your graveyard, instead you search your library for up to 3 basic lands, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. The only real problem I'm seeing here is everything fetches a basic. And there are only 18 basics in the deck. I mean, you're probably not going to be able to fetch more than 18 with all these cards, but I don't know. There's a lot of fetch. Who knows? We'll see when one of us plays it. Hunting Wilds, 3 and a green, sorcery with Kicker, 3 and a green. You can search your library for up to 2 forest cards. Here we go. Put them onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. If you kicked this spell, untap all forests, put onto the battlefield this way. They become 3/3 green creatures with haste, but they're still lands. How you like them apples? Sorry, that's my phone going off. You guys hear that? There's more fetch though. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, man, for basic fetch, that's a lot of basic fetch. We have Savage Twister, pretty sweet art. It's X, a red, and a green for a sorcery. It deals X damage to each creature.
Okay.
Pretty basic.
Pretty basic board wipe.
Yeah, pretty basic board. Basic B board wipe. We got Moonlight Bargain, 3 and double black for an instant. You can look at the top 5 cards of your library. For each card, put it into your graveyard unless you pay 2 life. Then put the rest into your hand.
That's how you get your threshold.
Yeah. Yep. That's weird, though. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. For each card, put that card into your graveyard. This is like a weird level of redundancy. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. For each card, put that card into your graveyard unless you pay 2 life.
So you
then put the rest into your hand. How does that make sense? You can't put the rest into your hand because there is none of the rest. You're either putting them all in the yard or you're paying 2 life for all of them. There's not anything left over. Like, that's why I don't get.
That's weird.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Unless there's something that says, like, every time you draw a card, draw another card. Or, like, look at another card. I don't know.
I don't know. I think that the whole point of that is you can pick and choose which cards you want to keep.
To activate Threshold. And recursion, maybe.
Yeah.
You get, like, a 6-drop, and you're like, oh, but I can recur it with this for 1 or whatever. Yeah, there you go. We have Consigned to Dust, which is 2 and a green for an instant with Strive. Not sure I've ever heard of that. This spell costs 2 and a green more to cast for each target behind the first. I do know that. Yeah. Destroy any number of target artifacts and or enchantments. Terrible. Simply terrible.
Yeah.
Maybe in this deck is the only deck it could work because you have so much ramp. But paying 3 per artifact or enchantment you want to destroy? If you wanted to just destroy 3, you'd have to pay 9 mana.
Well, I mean,
you're literally doing nothing else on your turn other than destroying 3 artifacts and enchantments.
If it's late game and you have the mana, sure, but otherwise it's 3 to kill 1. I mean.
Yeah, or you could just play like Vandal Blast and just destroy it all. I mean, I guess this is so you don't destroy your own thing.
Yeah.
But Vandal Blast is like 4 instead of 3, and get rid of all of it. So, yep.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Return to Dust is 2 white and 2. It's 4 for 2 on your main phase.
Excuse me, guys. Yeah.
But it exiles it.
Right.
It doesn't destroy
Consign to Dust just lets them recur it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how I feel about it. We have Grapple with the Past, which is 1 and a green. Instant. Put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. Any creature, any land. Could be a land you already sacked to fetch up another land. So, good card. We have Harrow, one of my original favorite cards for fetching lands. 2 and a green for an instant. As an additional cost to cast it, you sacrifice a land. This can be at instant speed, which is the thing that makes it unique, I think. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, untapped, then shuffle your library. Yes, it fetches basics, but at instant speed, and especially since you can sacrifice an already tapped basic land to fetch up 2 more lands, it could be a pretty big surprise for your opponent. You know, maybe they think, oh, he doesn't have enough for Blood Rush. Well, think again.
Yeah.
You know, I love that card. It's so great.
But you still have to pay the 3.
Yeah, you'll still have to pay the 3, but then it basically only costs 1.
Yeah.
So, because you're going to pay the 3 and then sacrifice one of the 3 you just tapped, or if you had another tapped land. You know, we have Grizzly Salvage, which is black and green for an instant. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature or land from among them into your hand. Put the rest in your graveyard.
Okay.
More threshold.
Now we see why there's so much recursion in this deck, because
there's a lot of graveyard, like, pitch. There's a lot of pitch. There's stuff in your yard. I mean, it lets you pick, like, something out.
Yeah.
And then everything else goes there. So, okay. Putrefy is up. It's a great card. 1 colorless, black and green, instant. Destroy target artifact or creature. It can't be regenerated. Good. Good card. Nice art. Sears Sundial is back. I believe this is in the Esper deck? I don't know. I've seen it somewhere else. 4 colorless, artifact with landfall. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. Honestly, great for a landfall deck, especially in green. They need the card draw. We have Soul Ring. Again, I will not be going over that. We have Retreat to Hagra, which is 2 and a green for an enchantment with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you can choose one of these 2 modes. Target creature gets +1/+0 and Death Touch until end of turn, or each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. This, I understand why it's in here because it's landfall, but this is extremely out of place. Yeah. Neither of these effects wants to do what this deck is trying to do. This deck doesn't care about getting Death Touch, and this deck doesn't care about draining your opponents or gaining life.
Well, gaining life, yes, for the pay 2 life.
Could, yeah. This just seems like a weird inclusion. They could have picked the red one. You know, I think the red one might have been better. I don't know what the green one does, but I feel like one of those could have been better than this one. Or better yet, just don't play any of them. You know, the only real one that's worth it is like the blue one.
Well, the Dragons, the Tarkir one would have been better, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The only one of these that I would play out of, honestly, any of them, including the Tarkir ones, is the blue one. Yeah. Monastery Siege. Yeah, probably a Siege. I played
the black Tarkir one in my Campbell deck, but...
Well, yeah, but it makes sense. It's drain.
It's not landfall, so...
Right. I don't know. I don't like it. We have Amanda's favorite card, which is Colony Heart Expedition.
I like the art.
Yeah, the art is pretty great. 1 colorless and a green for an enchantment with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you can put a quest counter on it. You can remove 3 quest counters from it, sacrifice it, search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them onto the field tapped, and then shuffle. Now, I said earlier, you're probably not fetching up 18 basics. I think I was wrong. I think there's more than 18 basic fetch in here. I mean, this is 2. The other thing, Harrow's 2.
There's a lot of fetch.
What was it, like Far Wanderings was 2. Explosive Vegetation is 2. Cultivate is 2. Like, it's getting a little ridiculous at this point. We have Death Reap Ritual, which is 2 colorless, a black and a green for an enchantment with Morbid. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, you may draw a card. This is every end step, not just your own end step. If your opponent swings into your other opponent and one of his creatures dies, you draw a card. So that's pretty great.
That's a pretty good card.
Honestly, that's a great card. I believe the rest of these are from the other spoiler video. I'll just go ahead and go over them because honestly, I can't keep track anymore. But we're going to go quick on these. We have Gyrus, Waker of Corpses, which is X, black, red, green for a 0/0 legendary Hydra. He enters the battlefield with a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast him. And whenever he attacks, you can exile target creature with power less from your graveyard. Sorry, that sounds weird. With lesser power from your graveyard. If you do create a token that's a copy of that card, and that's tapped and attacking, exile the token at the end of combat. Surprise, damage.
Kind of defeats your recursion, though, doesn't it?
It does kind of ruin the recursion because you exile the card.
Yeah.
But this is probably the best because it's already tapped and attacking. So if you recur like a 6/6 or something, could be good. We have Thantis the Warweaver, 3 red, black, and green for a 5/5 legendary spooter. Vigilance and Reach. All creatures attack each combat if able. I hate that effect. Utterly hate that effect. Whenever a creature attacks you or a walker you control, put a 1/1 counter on Thantis the Warweaver. That's all I have to say. I mean, I hate making everything attack each combat if able.
Yeah.
Unless I have like Sphere of Safety.
Yeah.
And like Propaganda, and I'm like, haha, or Cellar Door, and I'm like, you're not attacking me, so whatever. Is it Cellar Door or is it like that only 2 creatures can attack you each combat? Crawl Space.
Crawl Space.
Crawl Space. We have Blood Tracker, which is 3 and a black for a 2/2 Vampire Wizard with flying. You can pay black, pay 2 life, and put a 1/1 counter on him. When he leaves the battlefield, you draw a card for each 1/1 counter on it. Card draw.
Yeah, pretty good.
He actually does have flying, so kudos to one of the 10 vampires out of the 100 vampires in the game that actually have flying. Yeah, it's great. We have Emissary of Grudges, which is 5 and a red for a 6/5 Ifrit. Flying haste. When it enters the battlefield, secretly choose an opponent. This is only the 2nd card in the game that has existed that does this. Reveal the player you choose. Choose new targets for target spell or ability if it's controlled by the chosen player, and if it targets you or a permanent you control, you can only activate that ability 1 time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad card.
No.
You know, I'm going to mill you for 20. Haha, no you're not. I'm going to mill you for 20.
Yeah.
Eat shit. Alright, Fury Storm. Yeah, demonetized. We're not demonetized. Not worried about it. Fury Storm 2 and double red for an instant. When you cast a spell, copy it for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone in this game. You may choose new targets for the copies. It copies target instant or sorcery spell, and you may choose new targets for the copy. Meh.
You could copy your wipe the board. You could copy your decimate.
I do like the thought of Reverberate, which is this card, Reverberate, or Dual Cast, whatever.
Yeah, dual casting.
But it never works out the way you want it to.
No.
Ever. Ever. Like, never ever. Because most of the time you're not copying your own spell because it costs too much.
Yeah.
Even if you play a 4-drop, this is another 4 that's 8. Maybe in this deck because it has so much land it'll work. But most of the time you're relying on your opponent to play something stupid, and then you're like, I'm going to copy it 8 times, right? But, yeah.
It's however many times you cast your commander.
I mean, from when we played the original 2015, I believe it was Commander Planeswalkers, I would only ever cast my commander like once or twice.
Yeah. Because
they die so quickly. Your opponents hate your freaking Planeswalkers, whether they're your commander or not, and they will be dead immediately. Yeah. Everybody on, it doesn't matter what, it could be the worst Planeswalker. Every person at the table goes, okay, it's the target next turn. Everybody full swing, throw your lightning bolts at it, do whatever, putrefy it, whatever. Like, it's dead. So this is kind of why I hate Planeswalkers and Commander, because putting it on the field makes you an instant target.
Yeah, but it's however many times you cast it. It doesn't have to stick.
But how many times are you going to cast a 5-drop Planeswalker?
I know, right?
Is he a 5-drop Planeswalker or a 4-drop Planeswalker? He's a 5-drop Planeswalker. Yeah. You're going to cast this guy twice.
At most.
So you're going to get to copy some spell like 2 times. I mean, hardly worth it unless it's like I said, it's like a hardcore effect. Like, deal 10 damage to target player. Like Starstorm or something stupid. And then this is legit. You can probably one-shot somebody at the point you're doing it. But otherwise, like
I said, that decimate, like destroy artifact creature.
Yeah, decimate could be stupid with this. Anyways, we've spent 10 minutes on that card. Nesting Dragon, one of my favorite cards from this deck, honestly. 3 and double red for a 5/4 dragon with flying. Every dragon has flying except for 1, and you can give it flying by paying red, I think. Has landfall. I think it's actually in this deck. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 0/2 red dragon egg creature token with defender, and when this creature dies, create a 2/2 red dragon creature token with flying, and red, this creature gets 1/0 until end of turn.
Fire breathing.
Fire breathing.
Yeah.
Reality Scramble. Scrambles. There's a monkey in this art. It's weird. And a zebra. I think there's a zebra.
It's a reality scramble.
Yeah, 2 and double red for a sorcery. Put target permanent you own on the bottom of your library. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card that shares a card type with it. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and it has retrace.
That's weird.
That's kind of weird. It's like a reverse Chaos Warp.
Yeah.
Maybe if you have like a 1/1 token and you want to flip like a 6-drop creature off the top, like an Avenger of Zendikar off the top or something. Could be good. Crash of Rhino Beetles is 4 and a green for a 5/5 insect with trample. It gets +10/+10 as long as you control 10 or more lands.
That's pretty good.
15/15 with trample. Pretty good. Turn Timber Sower is 2 and a green for a 3/3 elf druid. Whenever 1 or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, create a 0/1 green plant creature token. There's the when you're sacrificing your lands or they're dying or whatever.
Yeah.
Green, sacrifice 3 creatures and return target land card from your graveyard to your hand.
Oh.
Not quite Priest of Titania, but there it is.
Yeah, but that's how you get your landfall triggers.
Right. Whip Tongue Hydra is 5 and a green for a 4/4 lizard hydra with reach. That long tongue. When it enters the battlefield, destroy all creatures with flying and put a 1/1 counter on Whip Tongue Hydra for each creature destroyed this way.
Which is really powerful because green, black, red don't really have a whole lot of flyers in that deck. So.
Yeah, no. These are 3 colors that don't have a lot of flyers. White and blue, let's be honest, have almost all the flyers. I mean, good. It's good.
Yeah.
So we also have Windgrace's Judgment here, which is 3 colorless, a black and a green for an instant. For any number of opponents, destroy target non-land permanent that player controls.
Okay.
So for each opponent, destroy a non-land permanent.
Yes.
Pretty good. We have Zancha Sleeper Agent, 1, a black, and a red for a 5/5 legendary minion. So this can't quite be your commander.
No.
But she is good. Once she enters the battlefield, an opponent of your choice gains control of her. She attacks each combat if able and can't attack you or planeswalker you control. And for 3, Zancha's controller loses 2 life and you draw a card. Any player may activate this ability.
Right.
Right.
Which
this was the card we were like super confused about last time.
Yeah, but it says too, any player can make the person who has control of it at the time.
Yeah, Zancha's controller, like I play it, you control it, I pay 3, you lose 2 life, I draw a card.
Right.
That's how it would work.
But any opponent can do that.
Right. I mean, it's a good card. And it can't swing on you or a creature you control.
Yeah.
Anyways, this video is getting super long. I'm not gonna give any more thoughts on the rest of these cards. We're banging through this. Loyal Subordinate, 2 and a black, 3/1 zombie with menace with Lieutenant. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, each opponent loses 3 life.
Okay.
Loyal Apprentice, 1 and a red for a 2/1 human artificer with haste. Lieutenant. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, create a 1/1 colorless stop their artifact creature token with flying. It gains haste until end of turn. There's your flying defense. Doesn't make sense in this deck though. Loyal Guardian is a 4 and a green 4/4 with trample. It's a rhino. Has Lieutenant. Well, big surprise. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Goes pretty good with Avenger of Zendikar, I guess. And of course we have Forge of Heroes. I said before with the 42 lands, that was the last land card, but surprise, here's one more. Tap, add waste. Tap, choose target commander that entered the battlefield this turn, anybody's. Put a 1/1 counter on it if it's a creature, and a loyalty counter on it if it's a planeswalker.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a standard card in all commander decks.
Probably. Yeah, especially if you're playing planeswalkers. Yeah. That's really good. I mean, I don't really care about giving 1/1 counters to my, like, regular commander.
Edgar can be pretty stupid.
Yeah, Edgar could be stupid. Maybe I do. I don't know. Anyways, guys, that's the whole deck list. I apologize for a 45 whatever minute video, but there was a lot of cards to cover here. Overall, the deck isn't as bad as I thought it was, but it's missing some certain things. Azusa, Oracle of Moldiah, Kodama's Reach. I mean, those are 3 cards. One of them desperately needs a reprint. Was Oracle of Moldiah. Has only ever been printed in Zendikar, original Zendikar. It's like $20-some, $28 or something like that now. It's ridiculous. Azusa's seen a reprint, but I think she's still like 12-ish maybe. And she belongs here, let's be honest. Kodama's Reach is 10 cents.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there are some really good landfall decks too that could probably find a place in that deck.
Yeah, there are a lot more landfall cards that exist in the game that are not being placed in here that probably
What about
should
Warstorm Surge in that deck?
be. Warstorm Surge would be pretty good, especially since, I mean, we're dropping in like, everything's like a 6 drop.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, with a lot of power. So, well, anyways, guys, thanks for keeping up with the deck list for us. I apologize that these are taking so long, but, you know, unfortunately, I can't do this full time and life gets in the way. So I'm going to try and get this last one out before the actual decks come out.
Yeah,
because at
5
that
days.
point, 4 days actually now, but at that point, it's going to be kind of like, you know, because nobody's going to care because it's already out and you're going to have bought them already. So thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time right here on Everything MTG. Peace.